Okay, I give up. There's nowhere in this apartment that has decent lighting. You don't need to see anything anyway. Not for this. I'm not breaking out the ring light and whatever. Um, I wanted to talk about Game of Wool. And the response, I guess, or not the response. I have watched the first 3 episodes, so if you don't want to be spoiled, leave. And I'm not going to talk about like in depth the show because there's not a lot of depth to talk about on the show. But I actually have notes because I have feelings, I have thoughts. Yeah. Um, they're not all bad. They're not all bad. I'm going to continue to watch the show. I think it's enjoyable and delightful to an extent. Um, it's not great. It could be a hell of a lot better from a lot of standpoints, not just from the knitter, crocheter, fiber artist standpoint. But yeah, I need to like get this out of my body so that I can live my life. And also, Celebrity Traders is now available in the US, and I need to binge watch that like as soon as possible because Traders is my jam. And I've been avoiding spoilers like crazy so that I can watch it. Anyway, so yeah, I think Bake Off is Bake Off. I'm already calling it Bake Off. Game of Wool is a lovely idea. I think it would be really, really great if it works. I think if it works, it's going to have to make a lot of changes. And yeah, so it's a cute show. I love Tom Daly. I've been a fan of his since before he knew how to knit or crochet. He's adorable. Always loved him. Um, it's I feel like the show is suffering a lot from, and it's not the fault of anyone on the show. The fault of the show lies with the production and the production team or the powers that be or whatever they're called. Because they are doing a great disservice to the show and the people on it. So I think they were trying to make the show like Bake Off. And I was trying to remember, I was pretty sure that Bake Off started off as like they thought it was going to be a little cozy show for like little old ladies in the on the farmlands or whatever, and then it became this crazy huge phenomenon across the world. I feel like it could be like that if it takes off properly, but I don't know that it's going to be able to, because it's pissing off it's pissing off the core audience, which is the knitters and crocheters. It's being disrespectful and insulting, and it's never a good idea to piss off the knitters. Just saying. Other people have learned the hard way. Yeah, so like I think it's trying to be too much like Bake Off in the way that I watch a lot of competition shows. I feel like I need to make that clear. I watch competition reality shows. I don't watch a lot of reality television, but I do watch a lot of the competition ones. I've previously watched things like The Amazing Race. I used to watch Biggest Loser. I've seen almost every season of The Challenge, and the All Stars Challenge, like all of those things. Bake Off, RuPaul's Drag Race in all its iterations. Project Runway, America's Next Top Model. Like, don't do that. Oh, good. It's possessed. Anyway, yeah. So I've watched. I hope you can't hear that. I've watched all those shows. I've seen them all. Um, and so, yeah. So the show is trying to be like Bake Off in the way that they are filming it and the way that they're interacting with the contestants and the players, artists, fiber artists. I'm going to call them fiber artists. They should be calling them fiber artists on the show as well. Um, so the way they show things on Bake Off is they introduce everybody and you get like a little snippet of something they've done. You might see something they've made before, but you see like them interacting in the world. You don't necessarily get like their resume or a list of things they've done before. Um, no, don't do that. No, no, this is going great. This is really. Can I shut that? How do I make that stop? Nope. Okay. Good. Awesome. Okay. Um. So yeah. So you get like a little snippet of the people, and that's it. That's the introduction. On Project Runway, um, or even on Drag Race to an extent, but mostly on Project Runway, you see like a bunch of stuff they've made, and you hear about their like a one sentence background. So they'll say like, I went to school in Paris, or I'm self-taught and I have my own business, or I did this for a living and now I'm, becoming a designer. So you get enough of their background where you can start to form an opinion, but you also get enough of their background so that when they start pulling stuff out, you're not going in completely blind. So when someone starts using, really technical terms, it's like, well, they went to fashion school or whatever. So we got none of that on Game of Wool. So half of these contestants in the first episode and the second episode were saying, well, I'm not really a knitter. I'm more of a crocheter. I'm like, we should have known that already. Like, we should have been told that in their little introduction. Is like, I'm mainly a crocheter, or I've been crocheting for this many years, or the only people they told us how long they've been doing something for are the people who've been doing it for like a year. Um, and that's kind of it. We got a little bit more information about Gordon because he was, spoilers, going to be kicked off, which was not who should have been kicked off. I have very strong opinions about a certain person who should not be on the show anymore. But whatever. Yeah, so like that's how we should be introduced to these people, because in a way they are more like fashion designers than they are like bakers, or in most of the ways, really. They almost all of them have designed patterns. They've all been manufacturing clothing items or clothing like items for the entirety of their fiber career. Or even if they just make art pieces, that's still closer to the introductions that you would get on Project Runway rather than Bake Off. So it's not being, we're not being presented with these people properly. We're also not being shown what we should be shown on the show. Like, why are we not seeing the knitting and crochet? Like, why are we not, like, we're just seeing these like overhead shots of them sitting on couches, and then they do things like, showing Melody leaving the room, or showing Gordon steeking in this crazy dramatic way to try and like up the drama to make us watch. We're watching for the knitting. We would watch that. You don't show it to us. You're not actually filming them making things. We're not hearing about what they're doing, or the decisions they're making, or the types of stitches they're using. That's the part we're here for. Like, that's the part we're interested in. When you watch Bake Off, you're hearing about the type of pastry they're using or the spices they're putting in their fillings. We want to know the details. We don't just want to see the finished product. We want to see how they're making it. We want to see the whole process. Like, you gathered a whole bunch of knitters together and then said, oh, we brought you here because you knit, but we're not going to show you any knitting. Okay, why are we here then? Is this show not for knitters and crocheters? Because the monetization happening after the show's over seems to be aimed at us. So make up your mind. Make up your mind. And also, no, we're not a bunch of old biddies. Fucking learn, people. Like, we just finished fighting with Hank Green. And I say finished fighting with Hank Green very loosely because we didn't actually finish that fight. They finished that fight by ignoring us. Anyway, yeah, so it's the way they're shooting the show. The sheep are lovely. We like the sheep. Tom's little, that's like a little sprinkle of Traders in there, I think, is, Alan Cumming, who is amazing and iconic. Got so much attention for his outfits during Traders that they're giving Tom all this extra attention for his knitwear, which is lovely. I want to see the outfits, but I also want to see what people are making. Like, anyway, that's a problem. So yeah. Also, obviously, there's the whole thing about Fair Isle, Shetland wool. That's a whole thing that I don't know hardly anything about except what I've been told recently in all of this stuff. So I'm not going to go into that. Suffice it to say, production is not doing the right thing. They need to respond properly to the minimization and disparaging of a culture, because it is a culture. But I'm going to allow, those communities to speak on that because I'm going to get it wrong. I don't think I've ever done Fair Isle personally. Or maybe one project. I maybe have one project. It's like my second oldest project, and I swear to God I will finish it. But it's very much hibernating at the moment. Yeah, I am not the person to talk about that. But I was taking a lot of information from that first episode, and then to find out it was all wrong, and that is not the word you use, and that is not how you refer to those things, that was disheartening and upsetting, because what if I wasn't chronically online? What if I didn't see all the videos and the backup and the explanations about those are wrong? I would then be using those terms incorrectly for the rest of my knitting career. Like, you can't do that. And part of the problem, this brings me to a point actually, part of the problem with the show itself is the fact that I keep jumping my metaphors here, but no, we can stick with Bake Off. They need a Paul Hollywood. They need a there's both of the judges and Tom, but both of the judges, who I'm sure are delightful, talented people. I've never heard of them, but they seem to be famous in their own right. They're super nice and like sweet, and that's great. You need someone who's gonna smack down. Like, you need a judge, you need a Simon, you need a Paul Hollywood, because the other thing that Paul does, which I love about him, and the reason he has managed to stay the literal only thing that has continued on Bake Off throughout the entirety of the show, and not just because he was, willing to take the money. Part of the reason he sticks around is because he is a good judge. He points out when people are doing things incorrectly. He points out when people are using the wrong terms. I don't remember who it was, but there was someone who said, like, oh, I'm making like a cron, the type of bread. And he said, no, you're not. that's not the type of dough you use in a cron. So you're making this type of bread, but you're just making it in a ring shape. There's a difference. And he made a big deal about pointing out that difference because it is a big deal. And there's no one on this show who does that. There's no one who points out the Fair Isle terms were being used. There's no one who is going to say, oh, this is lovely, but you shouldn't have done this type of stitch. Or, oh, you shouldn't have done this. Or you should have managed your time better. I haven't heard anyone be told that they should have managed their time better. Maybe they're editing it out, but no, yeah, you need a hard ass judge. You always need a hard ass judge. Every show does. It's why Project Runway, Michael Kors was so important to that show, because he was also the grounding presence that kept everyone in reality and thought about the real world application of things. Like, who's going to buy this? How are they going to manufacture it? Like, those are very important points, and it's part of the reason why Project Runway has gone downhill, frankly. I love getting lots more Christian. Christian is lovely. Christian is the voice of reason now on Project Runway, but anyway, that's a different show, different topic. But yeah, they need someone who's going to keep things grounded in reality and correct things and say the difficult stuff. And they have no one like that right now. So, and like, yeah, on that note, I watched the first episode, and at some point in the episode, I went, oh, that girl knits wrong. And no one mentioned it. I mentioned it to a friend. And then the second episode, we get the dog outfits, which fucking adorable. Like my friggin', like I got a nosebleed. It was so cute. And they point out that Melody, I think her name is, was twisting her knit stitches. How did she get to the second episode of a knitting competition while knitting wrong? Like, and my friend likes to point out that, like, it's not wrong. It could be a choice or, like, on purpose. And, like, knitting through the back loops is a stitch and it is a correct stitch. But what she was trying to do was not that. So, therefore, she was doing it wrong. Is this like the bad singers on American Idol? Like, did they let her through the audition process knowing that she was doing it wrong and just not pointing it out? Like, what was that? If I were sitting next to her on the couch and I was competing with her, I would have pointed that out to her. I spotted it from my home in Boston, 3,000 miles away. Like, what was that? That was mean, in a way, and mean to the people who didn't get on the show, and kind of disrespectful to the other competitors, and rude to Melody, frankly. Jesus Christ. That was some bullshit. I don't like that. That really gives me the ick. And that's, again, probably on production. So, whatever. Yeah, so the thing about this show that I think they're trying to do is there's been a lot of money made off of Bake Off. Capitalism exists. I'm not saying it doesn't. The goal of these things is to make money. That's what they make the show for, and then the more money they make, the more shows we get. I'm fine with that. Bake Off, they sell the aprons, they sell the cookbooks. I'm sure they sell other things. I don't know. I don't live in England, so I don't get to experience it all. Knitters and crocheters buy patterns, we buy yarn, we buy the kits. The whole show could be an advertisement for yarn and patterns. That's great. That's really great. I would absolutely be here for that. The thing is, those patterns have to be good. And this isn't about the contestants themselves being bad designers. It's about them being forced to make the pattern that they've written in such a short period of time. So they're working within these parameters of this short period of time. That's not going to be their best stuff. That's not going to be what they would have loved to do. That's not going to be what they ideally would make. That's going to be what they thought they could manage in the short period of time that they have to the best of their ability. I don't necessarily want to buy that, you know? Like, I'd rather see what they can really do. And I haven't looked up anybody else, but I've seen Holger's patterns, because Holger is amazing. I love him. I've seen Holger's patterns. I already had some of them in my favorites before I even saw the show, because I'd found them in the wild on Ravelry, and they're amazing. And they're in my, like, this is crazy detailed, and maybe someday I'll have an out-of-body experience and start these. They're amazing. He's so talented. That's the kind of shit I'd want to do or look at or buy. Like, I don't necessarily want to make a chunky weight color work pretending to be Fair Isle vest. They made them. They made the kits. Somebody's going to buy them. I'm sure people bought them. That's great. Can we have, like, the version they would have liked to have made? Or, like, the version of the pattern that they would have done if they could use smaller yarn because they had more than 5 seconds to make them? That, I feel like, would sell better and be more appreciated. Because here's the thing. Okay, so on Project Runway, they don't, I know I keep comparing the show, but I mean, what else am I going to do? On Project Runway, they give them a very short period of time to make their projects in. That's very clear. We know that. They give them 1 day, 2 days, whatever. In the time period that they're given, at least one contestant manages something incredible. And someone doesn't finish. And that's on skill issue. That's on their design choices. That's on problems they had, whatever. But there's always at least one person who manages to do something really great. The fact that no one on this show is managing to do anything great or even finish means that they're not giving them enough time. Like, yeah, okay, they're giving them very little time. They're not giving them enough time to even finish what they're doing. That's the problem. Like, someone should have a completely finished garment by the end and not, like, scurrying at the end to whip stitch something together. Someone should have a completed project. On Bake Off, there's always one person who's either helping somebody else in this past season, which was adorable, or, like, someone's sitting down having a cup of tea at the end of the challenge, because at least one person was fast enough that they finished completely in the time allotted. There's not been a single challenge on this show yet that anyone has finished. 3 people making a sweater on 3 different teams, right? Is that what 3 people, 3 teams? Yeah. 3 people making a sweater in the second episode and 3 different teams. None of the teams finished the sweater. None of the teams managed 2 sleeves, a front, and a back. At least one of the teams should have been able to finish the sweater. But, like, somebody ended up with, like, a half sleeve. The other one didn't have any sleeves. This one, like, they didn't give them enough time. I'm not saying to give them forever, but they need to give them at least enough time to reasonably finish the project. Are they not testing these challenges? I was telling my friend, on the challenge, they talk about it frequently, where they talk about the testers they have who try the physical challenges before they send the contestants out. They have people to make sure it's safe, to make sure it's doable. And sometimes the contestants will be like, you can't do this, nobody can do this. And, like, our testers did it. So go on, try again. Like, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Are they just arbitrarily going, sweater, 12 hours, that seems good? That's not how the world works. That's not how knitting works or crochet. And what's going to happen is they've all learned in the first episode, like, oh shit, we can't really knit in that time. They're all just going to go straight to crochet right off the bat. And they use the term knitting so much on the show, which is a whole nother fucking issue. But, like, do you understand what I mean? Like, it's at least one person should manage something incredible in the time period they're given. And if no one can manage to finish it at all, then they're not giving them enough time. They need to give them more time on the challenges. This is sort of a small thing, but it's sort of in the terms thing. Every single person who knits or crochets, or both, I do both, every single one of us has been in public doing our chosen craft and had someone walk up to us and go, oh, are you knitting? And we have to say, no, crochet. Or are you crocheting? And like, no, I'm knitting. We all hate it. We all hate it. All of us. Every single one of us. We all hate it. Stop saying knitter when you're having people crochet. That's all. Just use the right term. That's all. Knock it the fuck off. Say fiber artist or yarner or literally anything, or just don't let them do the other craft. Like, you want to find Britain's best knitter or whatever the hell the tagline is, then only let them knit. It's very simple. Stop it. And big knitter? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? No. That's stupid. The badge is cute, but the big knitter thing, like, what is that? It's not funny. It's not cute. It's not accurate. It's not anything. Like, stop it. Stop it. On that note, though, so, you know, Bake Off, iconic. They say, get ready, get set, bake. I think Tom has said, let's get knitting. Baby, no. Cast on. Ready, set, cast on. That's what you need to do. You need to change that. Someone needs to change that. Someone tell Tom. I'm already talking to enough minor celebrities on Instagram. I'm not going to tell him. Yeah. Yeah. I think I managed to cover everything, and that wasn't crazy long. Okay. Or, you know, I didn't go into detail about Shetland wool and all that stuff, but I think the show has a lot of potential. I think it could be really, really cool. I think, you know who. I feel like if you've seen the show, you know who I think should have been kicked off already. Like she said, she was more of a crocheter than a knitter. We've seen you crochet now, girl. Time to go home. Holger. Oh, Holger. And the Simon Holger bromance. I'm here for it. I love them so much. That is like Black Cat, Golden Retriever energy, and I love it to death. I don't have a problem with the contestants. I don't, you know, if they choose to, oh yeah, the whole like not getting paid thing for the patterns, because they might not be getting paid for the patterns. If they're not, I'm not surprised. I'm really not. Project Runway has done something similar. Any design show has done something similar. RuPaul's Drag Race. Do you think those queens are getting paid for their face being used in their game and whatever else? Mailman's here, I think. Like, they pretty much signed away their likeness. Like, I've certainly signed away my intellectual property for money. I have patterns in books owned by the mouse. I don't own shit anymore. I'm not going to give them my best stuff, but it's a decision you make. You read the contract, you sign it away if you choose to. I have less of a problem with that and more of a problem with the fact that it's not a great precedent to put into people's minds. I keep wanting to say minimization, but that's not the word I mean. What the degradation? No. Infantilizing? No. I can't think of the word. They're taking the work of knitters and crocheters and making it seem less valuable. That's what I'm talking about. Because our work is valuable. Pattern writing is valuable, and people already don't want to pay for patterns. So getting a pattern free with yarn, and not highlighting, at least highlighting the designer, like at the very least, do like a little thing on them, or like send people to their social media or something. Like it's some bullshit. No, oh, somebody loud outside. Hang on. Yeah. So this is just an issue I have though in general with like TV production and movie production to an extent, but TV production especially. Like they don't seem to understand that what we want to see on the show, which is the knitting and or the crocheting, whichever one. But let us see it. Like let us see what they're doing. Put the little camera, somebody's in a freaking athletic show, they put the little camera on them and we watch them do whatever. Put the little cameras on these women or people. I was thinking specifically of some of the women who literally just sit under a blanket and knit the whole time. Like, I'd watch that for hours. Come on. Like, we would all watch the show. Like, you could make the show longer, whatever you got to do. Like, we would watch it. I'm shedding. It's frustrating in a lot of ways, but I'm not as mad at the show as some people are, I guess. But I definitely have some not great opinions about it as well. I'm still gonna watch it. I'm still gonna enjoy it. I really, really hope we don't have another Fair Isle issue like that. And I really hope they learn and get better, but a lot of people have reached out to, I think it's Channel 4 is the production company, and not heard back at all, been ignored. So, I don't know. But anyway, this is getting long. I just wanted to get it all, like, out into the world. I was planning on knitting while I talked about this, but I didn't even open my bag. Hopefully I'll have some sort of life update soon. I have to clean my house so bad, and I guess I'm not doing Thanksgiving this year, so maybe I'll be able to actually post things. But Bagel's gonna be home soon, so this is good timing for this. That's all. I just, if you disagree with me, agree with me, whatever, let me know. I am very excited to talk about the show in general with, other people on the internet, because I'm forcing my friends to watch the show as we speak, but I also have to watch Celebrity Trader, so. And apparently I've missed or am missing an entire season of UK Drag Race. I've been under a rock. It's fine. Anyway, I think that's it. Bye.